Crouse.
Very different. We actually start with a full script, and we just, we had sort of like a goal-based improvisation within each scene, where each character knows what they want to accomplish, but they're just trying to get that done, and if they want to use a little bit of a different dialogue, they do that, and we encourage that, and it keeps all the actors on their toes, and our goal is reality-based filmmaking. We want things to feel and look really real, like we had a camera in your bedroom. And that's the way that, we can achieve that, is by, basically throwing these guys into a room and saying, let's do this, and then Mark and I capture it as documentary filmmakers, as opposed to, we come to them as opposed to making them come to us.
Right. Do you want to add something? Or?
I thought everything Jay said was very incorrect about our process. He doesn't know what he's talking about. We do not improvise at all. He's insane. No, I think to your other question about how much the characters change, we also shoot our movies in sequential order so that we can build upon not only the character changes that happen, but the interpersonal dynamics and the little nuances that really excite us about this kind of movie, which is, what is the nature of the energy and the relationships between all these characters? And as those things grow and change, the characters tend to shift a little bit, and we tend to remold the story here and there, and it's usually just in small ways to help accentuate, the essence of what's naturally happening between these actors as they improvise.
Right.
You want to tell me also had panic attacks? Because that was total bullshit.
I have this idea that people who create things, like big musicians, which you guys were previous to becoming filmmakers, and have a different idea about the creation of art. They aren't as respectful of the form as someone who doesn't create the art. So I think as a casual listener, you think, oh, there's a structure to writing a song. There's, when you jam with other musicians, there's a way of doing it. Do you think that your experience as musicians has informed then the different way that you work in terms of being able to sort of deconstruct the way that films are usually made?
Yeah.
Definitely, probably didn't even realize it until you just said it. We pretty much figure out everything about ourselves from you guys, because you write it down and then we're like, oh, that's what we're doing. But yeah, I think musically, you have to have a form and a structure if you're going to improvise.
Right.
And, with our filmmaking, that's the one thing that we are extremely strict about, is that, we tell the story back and forth to each other orally as much as possible until we figure out that, yes, we do have something that we think will sustain an audience for 90 minutes.
Right.
It builds, it means something, things pay off. But once we get that solid, at that point, we're just looking for the most inspired thing to happen. From that point, it's a launching point to where we're on set, where we're just trying to create an environment where something magical can happen that could not be written or could not be planned, and is more special and inspired than something that we would come up with while we're wrapped up in a computer.
Right. And where did the story of Cyrus then come from?
We wanted to make sort of a love triangle movie. When we made The Puffeteer, we're like, let's make a road movie. When we made Baghead, let's make a horror movie.
Right.
And it was always with the goal to approach it from a relationship angle and sort of a sensitive horror movie and a sensitive horror movie. And when we wanted to make Cyrus, it's going to be our first big movies. For those of you who haven't seen our previous films, they were all made for no money, like $15,000. And so this was going to be a movie at a studio with big movie stars, and we thought, wow, there's a lot of changes happening, there's a lot of things that can go wrong. So let's try to make a simple movie that takes place on people's faces, on couches, in their house, so we can control everything as much as possible. And a love story seemed right for that, a love triangle in particular. And then once we thought the idea of like, oh wow, maybe one of those legs of the triangle is this woman's son, that got really exciting to us. And obviously when we met with John and Jonah, that's kind of when the electricity started to happen, because they're very different in person than the characters we've seen them play on screen.
Right.
They're both incredibly intelligent and formidable human beings, very powerful and strong when they come into a room. And so the idea of pitting those two guys against each other and having John be more intelligent in this movie than we've seen him be on screen before, and having Jonah be trimmed up and shirt tucked in and articulate, and very few f-bombs, except his verbs. It was exciting to us to explore the other sides of them.
Yeah, Jonah's getting, I think, probably the best reviews of his career so far for this film. How does that make you guys feel?
Pretty good.
Good.
Yeah, I mean, Mark and I saw a lot of things in Jonah personally that we were really interested in bringing out, and Jonah was, he's walking into a movie with Academy Award winners and nominees, and he's 25 years old, and he was incredibly brave and excited about trying different things and exploring different things and exploring a character that is dangerously walking the line of being unforgivable, but he did it boldly, and he always held that sort of nugget within him that was the core of this character was a little boy who's afraid to lose his mommy, and that's always there in his performance, and I think it dimensionalizes the whole thing and makes it interesting and scary and freaky and funny and all the things that Mark and I had hoped that this movie would be.